It's a beautiful morning. I think I'll go outside for a while and just smile. Just taking some clean.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another Jerry Springer show. This time around, we're going to be taking a look at two rednecks fighting on the 1v1 map, Semwa. Now, okay, guys, I'm just absolutely joking there. It is Krebs Coho, and these aren't rednecks. However, these are going to be quite abusive players. Now, I have not done a cast like this before, and you might be asking me, what do you mean, Krebs? You've done another 48 episodes of Company Heroes. Well, that is correct. I have done another 48 episodes. However, I have not done a cast where the players are such abusive to each other in terms of their chat dialogue. And, you know, if you're not into that sort of stuff, if you believe this game is sort of like a game of chess, fair enough. Maybe this might not be the replay you want to watch. However, I thought it was kind of interesting just to see how some players take it so seriously in a way. So let's take it into a sort of psychological sort of perspective. And a lot of people take this game very seriously. To the point where if they start losing, they start raging, and there's a lot of, you know, hormones, testosterone, all the anger and abuse that goes around. And I think it's sort of interesting to actually look at a replay like this just for entertainment value and, well, yeah, just basically for entertainment value. I suppose you can't really say educational because there's nothing to learn from arguing, but it's going to be a good one. So let's introduce the players. We've got I Am the Best, playing as the Americans, versing his opponent on the western corner of the map, Soul Pulse, as the Wehrmacht player. Soul Pulse is also Manchurian from the Game Replays forum. So I picked this off of there, and it is a bit known for the vulgarity, as I keep on stressing. So what I would actually recommend for you guys is, if you normally watch this in the small mini box, I'd actually recommend watching this replay in full screen so you can see the chat dialogue when it comes up. Okay, so focusing on the game for now, the whole abuse sort of stuff is going to come up in time. Focusing on the game for now, let's see what's happening. Okay, so I'm on the Americans. He's got two riflemen, so obviously from the barracks, and two engineers, capping away through the center to the right side of Semwa, whilst the Wehrmacht are naturally going towards the center and also along the southern bank of the river and capping away there. They have, if I switch on over to Soul Pulse, they have 3 Pioneers, an MG42, and a Volks. So, kind of standard stuff. Obviously, the Pioneers are out just so that they can cap a bit more. Always kind of an iffy thing. What should I go for? Should I go for 2 Pioneers? Should I go for 3 or more? Well, it's up to preference and what you're in the mood for. That's all I can say. So, the Riflemen are already combating some of the Volksgrenadiers over here. However, nothing much at the moment. We've got 2 Riflemen over here with a possibility of a flank setting up. It's totally open for that happening unless they move away. So I guess that's not going to happen. And I'm just struggling to find some proper action here. I suppose it's a bit too early in the game to actually find out what's going to happen. So the Pioneers over here with the Volksgrenadiers moving on up against this Engineer squad, which obviously will not be able to do anything if they're going to be fighting over there like that. And wow, these Pioneers are taking a lot of damage from those Engineers. Oh my gosh. I suppose that's sort of the Pioneers' fault for actually engaging the Engineers so close up and rushing towards them, whilst the Engineers already had cover, so they had the stationary advantage over there. The MG42 is safe and sound behind the well over here, so absolutely fine at the moment. And it looks like the Americans are waiting to get cut off over here. No, they're not going to be cut off, and the Pioneer squad's so close to going down. Is it going to happen? No, it doesn't look like the Riflemen are in pursuit. However, there's still one squad over here. Maybe the retreat path is not going to be the way that he is hoping. The retreat path is going this way, so avoiding those Riflemen. Let's see what else is going on. The Riflemen over here just try to harass at the Pioneers, whilst the VPs look like there's 2 in the hands of the Americans. and 0 in the hands of the Wehrmacht, so fair enough. That's why the Wehrmacht is 458 points at the moment. Okay, well, I suppose when you have two players like this, these are auto matches, so obviously the players are going to be very, very good. And obviously they're going to be very competitive. And I suppose in a way that can bring out the best of players, and it can also bring out the worst of players. So I suppose if you have a name like I am the best, you obviously have a lot to live up to. I suppose if you're thinking that you are the best. But anyway, this is where the abuse begins to start. So immediately I am the best is not happy with... I'm not exactly sure what he was complaining about. Maybe it's the riflemen taking so many casualties, maybe the engineers being suppressed. But then again, his riflemen were engaging the Volksgrenadiers and the MG42 so close up. They were running towards them. So whenever you're charging like that, you're just asking to be taking a variety of hits. So definitely not something to be looking forward to if you're going to be charging up like that. So the riflemen are focusing on... I'm not exactly sure. Were they focusing on the building? Maybe they were trying to get rid of that last guy right there. But it looks like they were being confronted by those Volksgrenadiers who have, for the fatherland, activated 45 munitions on that cheap defensive doctrine ability. Very, very good, especially if you're going to be going for a lot of infantry. So this most likely means that the Wehrmacht are going to be going for a heavy infantry strategy. We also have the triage center coming down, and not a bad decision by I am the best either, just so he can get all of his squads back up to health, which it seems like he desperately needs. There we go, just getting out of there. Oh, now this is such a harassive sort of thing. These Wehrmacht are putting down some barbed wire right at the center point, this choke point over here, so as to delay the Americans and cut them off from actually coming around here. Now looking at Semois, for the people that don't know, there's no path over here. The only places that you can cross this map are through the center point, which is the choke point over here. Likewise, another point is the big open space around here on the western front. So that is the two options that they have, whilst the Wehrmacht do not have this open space. Instead they have three basically choke points. They have 1, 2, and 3. So rather than the Americans that have 1, the Wehrmacht on this side have 3. So something to consider. There's also been mines put down and some defensive positions. Not a bad decision by Soul Post either. Just always trying to delay the Americans from even doing anything. The Americans, the only option now is to possibly get mortars or snipers to harass that choke point, and then get engineers to cut the wire. Likewise, they could come along here, and this is what we have. So we have a flanky double sort of maneuver by the Americans with their engineers getting in along the side, while they had that bait squad taking the suppressive volley fire from that MG42. The MG42 luckily getting away from there, taking a bit of damage on his way out of the area. But the Wehrmacht look like they're getting pushed back a little. Where are their forces? So we've got an MG42 here, however facing the wrong way. Oh no, this doesn't look good for an MG42. Also Volksgrenadier squad over here, and the Americans getting inside the building, taking cover in there. Not looking good for the Volksgrenadiers. This was meant to be their sort of reinforcements. Not looking good whatsoever. So what Soul is actually doing is taking defensive line behind some cover over here, playing the long range battle, as the Volksgrenadiers are obviously a bit advantageous in long range. Obviously they don't want to get ripped apart by the bars close range. And now we also have a sniper by Soul Post. Let's take a look at the build orders. We've got a Krieg barracks coming down from Soul Post, most likely going to be going for his support units from there, possibly packs and sort of that stuff to anticipate any armor. Likewise with the Americans, they have just that triage center and those barracks. However, the fighting is continuing on in the center, but these squads are retreating. They are down a few men, so they are not worthy to be fighting. We have some pioneers capping away at the southern point over here on Manhattan Island. Obviously a very small version of Manhattan Island. But it looks like there is more fighting away at the center. Okay. So how are the Americans going to respond to this? They have managed to recover, and oh my gosh! Wow, that was one crazy mine. Maybe that was a double mine or something, but that was pretty damn big. Explosion. Not exactly sure what that was. I'm sure you guys can see that if you rewind the replay slightly. Maybe you can see it there. But that mine, or double sandwich of a mine, it looks like that was a huge explosion, was hidden in that bush and managed to take out those riflemen. So very good. I don't actually believe that could have been a sandwich mine, because you have to do sandwich mines with other mines, such as teller mines and all those sort of stuff. So I don't actually believe it could have been that. However, not exactly sure. That was a big explosion nonetheless. You guys can check it out. Let's see what else is happening over here. We've got Volksrangers fighting with the sniper on the back, supporting. However, he has to get out of there. And the Wehrmacht are doing a really good job of maintaining control. They've also got a medic bunker out. Very, very good and very solid defensive doctrine play by Solpulse. Very, very good. He has multiple squads of MG42s. He's got snipers. He's got Volksgrenadiers. So big variety of guys. He's most likely going to be getting some stuff out of that Krieg barracks really shortly. And going to be most likely covering the flank over here. Not bad decision either, since the barbed wire is cut and it is open again. But the Americans just constantly trying to flank from every side possible. They are going to be cutting off this point, trying to deny the munitions over there. And just sort of saves them that journey from having to travel all the way to that munitions point. We've got the pack coming out, so those support units from the T2 Krieg barracks, but it seems like if we switch on over to IMD Best, that sniper going down, oh my gosh, not good, and we already have a bit of abuse coming down. We've got 4 rifleman squads, 3 engineers, so not really much in terms of attacking. What else is going on? He has a supply yard, so that means he's going to get either a motor pool or a tank depot sometime soon. He's got 80 fuel, so he can definitely start thinking about it. He's also gone for his airborne doctrine, and not a bad choice either. The obvious counter to blobs of infantry or loads of infantry is to go for a strafing run. One thing that I want to take note of, and actually I'm not going to mention just yet, I want to mention it when it comes up, is that the defensive doctrine actually has a way to counter strafing run, but I'll tell you guys that when it comes up. Okay, so the Wehrmacht reposition themselves in the center, trying to maintain control over here of this side of the river, and the Americans pushing on this side. So how are the Wehrmacht going to respond to this? They need to set up some sort of attacks. They've got mines down to protect the flanks. However, there is a minesweeper squad kind of a bit too far in the back. That's a bit of an iffy thing, but I think the Americans can suspect that there's a mine there, considering that a pioneer squad was just sitting down at the area, the crossroads, and that looks a bit suspicious for a pioneer squad to be just doing that. And there we go, that minesweeper squad from the Americans revealing that mine so that both squads, all those squads, can safely walk over it. So the support attacks over here from the Wehrmacht have been retreated. The Americans are pushing in towards the center along the backsides. And how are the Wehrmacht going to withstand this? There's obviously going to be some confrontations very, very shortly. We've got multiple squads, and here we go. Very good idea to be using for the fatherland now. Whilst you still have this territory, use for the fatherland, get that extra damage bonus, or should I say received damage bonus. Also received accuracy and suppression as well. We saw a pioneer squad with a flamethrower go down, not looking good for the Wehrmacht. The Americans are getting inside the buildings. However, this squad is very badly damaged, very, very badly damaged. It's likely that he might go down sometime soon if he's not careful. And he is just trying to get away as quickly as possible. And there we go, he looks like he's going to be safe. But the attacks continuing on this side. This engineer squad looks like it's trying to focus on the medic bunker? Maybe? It's not really working that well. But the Americans were making quite a push there, and now they're losing all their guys. The reinforcements for the Wehrmacht, the Axis, have come onto the field. They have plenty of infantry. Look at this. Tons of Volksgrenadiers, tons of Grenadiers. the Americans really are not going to stand a chance. And here we go, strafing run, annihilating a load of guys. Loads and loads of Volksgrenadiers, Grenadiers, and that pack as well. Not good. Even this guy is rolling around in camouflage, dead. And oh my god, that Rifleman squad went down. Now this is what I wanted to mention about how to counter the strafing run as the Wehrmacht. When you have defensive doctrine, you can throw on for the fatherland. That decreases the received suppression substantially. I believe it's something like 25% or 75% bonus or decrease in that suppression. So very, very helpful, and that's why he could instantly get up from that suppression threshold and then just act normally again. Likewise, you can also do that afterwards, or you can anticipate it. So if you're anticipating a strafing run, if you can see that plane before it comes on, obviously a bit iffy to do that on Semois since it's such a small map. But say for another maps, for example, like Montaire's region or Route N13, or a big map like a team game map, then you can sort of see that plane before it arrives, and you might be anticipating it, so you can throw on for the fatherland, take a lot less damage, a lot less suppression as well. Always going to be helpful. It's only 45 ammunition, so like I keep on saying, always going to be helpful. So what else is going on? Soul Pulse is saying that the player must be Tommy Toma. I am actually not really aware of what's going on with Tommy Toma. I know he is quite a good player. However, I'm not exactly sure if that's meant to be an insult. But here we go, guys. This is where the abuse is about to begin. If you want to switch your screens over to full screen and take a look at what is being said, this is where it's going to begin. The Grenadiers fighting over here, whilst the MG42 taking some safe cover in the building yet again, and more flanking squads. This is what I don't like. I am the best saying, you give him too much credit, you must be Polish. And this is, now being a commentator, I'll just say, being a commentator, I like to be unbiased. I don't like to have any quarrels. I like to just cast the games for what they are. But I think this is something that sort of hits me personally. If you guys don't know, I'm Polish born. Well, I wasn't born in Poland, but both of my parents are 100% Polish. That means my genetics, my blood is Polish. And when I see somebody insulting the entire generalized Polish people, then, you know, I think that's taking a bit too far and kind of unnecessary. Yes, you might be angry and raging about a game, but it's very much so unnecessary, and there's no point in throwing out comments like that when actually a huge base of this game are Polish people. So definitely not needed there. Now, more combating going on the field. We also got this MG42 retreating, and some of the riflemen capping away at the center. So the Wehrmacht, what happened to you guys? What happened to the Wehrmacht? They have been pushed back right to their base, so they are recouping all their guys, getting them all back together. We have another sniper on the field by Soul Pulse, who is firing away at the riflemen that have now got to retreat. Obviously, they do not want to stay there and just act like targeting practice for the sniper. More capping away on the left-hand side, and the Americans going through the middle. There's also tank traps. Now, I didn't actually notice that coming down, but apparently tank traps are there, and an MG42 in the building here. So pretty cool, pretty cool. But it seems like the Americans have been pushed back. Very good to be seeing that. And two minesweeper squads dishing it out. Well, okay, fair enough. There's loads of action going across the map at the moment. Tons and tons, just absolutely everywhere. If you look over here, there's some guys over here, there's some guys over here. There's some skirmishing that was going on in the center, whilst more squads were retreating back to the base. And oh my god, look at all those sparks flying. That is a Sherman crushing a bunch of ammunition rounds on the ground in the boxes. So we have that tank depot out from I'm the Best, who managed to get that Sherman out. He's also upgraded it with the turret on the top, and that's going to be alright. We gotta see how effective this is going to be. So from the Wehrmacht, we have basically seen almost practically just infantry. I want to switch on over to Soul Pulse and see how much ammunition he has. He actually doesn't have that much. He's been spending loads and loads on mines and for the fatherland, minesweepers and flamethrowers, but not really much on anti-tank. He doesn't have Panzerschrecks or anything like that. And so that's maybe why I'm the Best has gone for a Sherman. and which he's going to use to try and push away the Wehrmacht from the center. But you know, there's really not that much that the Wehrmacht has at the moment to counter it. He has a pack, a single pack, but nothing proper. Obviously the pack is a proper AT gun, but then that's the only thing that he has. He doesn't have any Panzerschrecks or anything to support the pack. Pack is obviously reversing over here, trying to shoot away at the Sherman in due time, whilst the MG42 is over there. Cool. But it looks like the western flank is back into Wehrmacht hands yet again. This is switching sides constantly, over and over and over. But these skirmishes going on along, with the MG42 on this side having to retreat. So fair enough. It seems like this Sherman managed to land on a mine over here, damaging that engine, losing some of its health, most likely to a bit of fire from that pack. So Sherman is really going to need some repairs. This engineer squad being kind of bold, and this is the iffy thing. Even though you might be behind the MG42 and think you have a good advantage, the thing you gotta be aware of is that these guys, the other two crew members, have, I believe, SMGs, so it's just gonna be basically the same thing as the Pioneer squad that you're taking on. And when you got two badly damaged engineer guys like that, they're not gonna stand a chance against those two full health MG42 crew members. But the Americans not doing the best at the moment. Their Sherman is in a very bad position. We've got a Stug on the field and a Panzerschreck. So 3 forms of AT. Very good decisions by the Wehrmacht to go for all of that. So we obviously have the Sturm Armory unlocked and built by the Wehrmacht. And that Sherman is going down. Not good to be seeing that at all. And For the Fatherland being used yet again, so effective. Look at this close range and see how much damage he actually takes. Look how little it is. 2 squads firing away at this one Grenadier squad, doing such an amazing job. And oh my god! Oh! Jeez! Losing so much riflemen there. Wow, that doesn't look good whatsoever. So here comes the abuse yet again. And I'm not actually going to comment on it. You guys can read it for yourselves, if you so wish. But, you know, players get really stubborn in this game, and I think what you really have to do and appreciate is to be in a way a gentleman. Obviously you don't have to be. You can rage and do all that sort of stuff. But then again, how many fans and how many people are going to actually enjoy playing with you if you're going to be such a raging person? So the Americans having to push back. It really does not look good for them whatsoever. They have 252 points, and even less than that now. 387 for the Wehrmacht, and looking at the tactical map, really not that many points left for the Americans. They're hanging on to some munitions, they're hanging on to some fuel, but really not that much. Oh man, I'm not exactly sure how the American can get back into the fight here. He can build more Shermans, which he's most likely going to do from this tank depot. However, there's so much anti-tank on the field already. But yet again, more of this dialogue between both players. Very competitive guys. And I'm just quite interested in actually looking at this conversation. And it's just sort of funny in a way to see this. I usually don't actually rage that much. To be honest, I do get competitives at times. However, the worst I will actually do is leave a game abruptly. That's the worst I'll do. I won't actually start exclaiming or cursing at anyone. But that's the worst I do. I usually don't try to be like that, though. I do try to say a good game, even though I might get beat. Okay. So apparently the Wehrmacht are an OP, overpowered faction. and apparently For the Fatherland is overpowered. Now, I don't know. In a way, you have to think about it. The For the Fatherland is actually quite a cheap ability. It's 45 munitions. Compared to a lot of other abilities, it's quite cheap, actually. And it's very, very good. However, the thing you gotta think about the defensive doctrine is that it's restricted to basically infantry. I mean, they get forms of artillery and that. However, they're basically restricted to infantry, and nothing really that helps the tanks out. So maybe that's why the For the Fatherland is good for infantry, and can be perceived as OP. However, the thing you gotta consider is that it doesn't really help out the tanks. You can't really get any special units from it. The Americans trying to recover as best as they can. Oh man. Hard dialogue. This is definitely fit for the Jerry Springer show. That's why I've been calling it the Jerry Springer show. If there's going to be such argumentative people. And that Sherman is going down. Jeez. Jeez Louise. Really just not looking for the Americans at all. They've got a bunch of infantry. However, there's already Vet 3 Stugs on the field. And so it doesn't look like there's going to be any chance for the Americans to recover from this. They're going to be losing Sherman so easily. And having to retreat so often. Oh, what horrible dialogue. Why can't we get along? Oh, man. Well, the thing is, you gotta think about this a bit. Like, in a way, you could consider Company of Heroes as a game of chess, except it's more live action, and there's a variety of units. Obviously, you move your pieces, and they do different things, different effectiveness, and so that's what you gotta think of it. Now, in a chess game, would you actually stare at your opponent across the table and say all these things to them? Would you tell them how overpowered a queen is? Would you swear at them and say how noobish they are? Well, probably not, unless you're, I don't know, a really angry person. But, you know, you just gotta, in a way, play this game as a sportsman-like sort of thing. Just like any other sport out there or any other game. Super bunkers. Apparently the bunkers from the Wehrmacht are super bunkers. Oh man. Wow. Oh, it's so tough to be watching this. Whenever you're losing, I think it's just... in a way, you gotta say good game to your opponent. Because they obviously managed to beat you, and they have managed to outplay you. You know, this is 2.602. There's been a lot of balance changes, and it's been the most balanced it's ever been. Now, there's not really that much that's unbalanced. There probably still is. However, you gotta consider that there's been so many games, and if you can win a faction as the Wehrmacht against the Americans, or as the Americans versus the Wehrmacht, then there's obviously balance in that. So I don't think really the argument holds up that a faction can just be OP. And well, that is the end. It looks like 3 points left and probably just ticking away to the very end. So okay, I'm not exactly sure what to say about that game. The only reason I chose it was so that I could cast about the dialogue and the aggression between the players. It was a decent game, not exactly the best of the ones out there. However, I already told you my intentions of this replay, so I hope you guys enjoyed it, and perhaps if we're going to look at it from a bit of an educational perspective, let's be sportsman-like gentlemen out there and just give a handshake to our opponents whenever they beat us. So anyway guys, I'll call this cast the end, the quits, and I will see you guys later. So I hope you all have a very nice day, and this is Krebs Coho. Bye bye.